So at this point, I would love to entertain any questions. Absolutely. Do they have access to the slides?
It will.
Okay. That's the website I referred to with the vitamin K content. Of course, Stop the Clot website, which has great references. And then AHRQ has a pretty big, probably 30-page handout booklet with some basic information about blood thinners. And I believe these slides will be available to you as well. Yes? Microphone. Mm-hmm.
I had always been told that with the antiphospholipid syndrome that you had to get the vial, a full vial of blood for a good test results or an accurate test results. Is that true? I mean, am I a candidate to do this at home? Should I want to leave the lobby of MGH?
Are you aware of antiphospholipid? I mean,
I would say, I would say there is some, we know from lab to lab, there is known variability because there's different preparations of a thromboplastin. Is this on? Can I have the mic on at the podium, please?
With the antiphospholipid antibody syndrome, it has to do with the antibodies that they use on the test strips.
Yes.
So if you have that syndrome, you're not likely, or you're less likely to get a valid reading using a finger stick.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for you, yes, for those with APLS, you should stay with venipuncture where you draw from the arm.
But I might just follow up with that to say that we know people that have antiphospholipid antibody, because of the variations in different laboratory, the reagents that are used to run these, the INR, the PT INR test, as well as the instrumentation that's in the laboratory itself, that it is a challenge with to try to find consistent results in what is the measuring that true level of anticoagulation. Generally, as Diane was saying, it's generally accepted that a venous laboratory sample is probably more accurate than the finger stick devices for these individuals. Another question right here.
I take Coumadin, and generally I take it at dinner somewhere between 6 and 7. If we go out to dinner and I forget to bring my Coumadin, should I take it later at night or just forget about that dose?
Okay, that's a great question. So typically take your warfarin between 6 and 7 at night. If you forget, so I assume if you go out to dinner, you'd be back 8, 9 o'clock, maybe. I would take it then, absolutely. Yes. Yes. No,
We
so
would
I
say if you're a patient here in our anti-CoA clinic, take it. You can take it until, I would say, 1 o'clock in the morning, all right? Take it, don't forget it.
I've heard a general 6-hour window if it's within that window. If you, the next evening at dinner, you realize, oh, I forgot to take my pill last night when I was out at the restaurant, you would not take 2 doses. But if it's that night before you go to bed, absolutely take it. Don't double up, exactly. Yes, I don't know if I need a microphone. I'll repeat your question.
Okay. Excellent presentation, by
Thank you.
the way. I just want to know if you could address the reaction between warfarin and cranberries and grapefruit.
It's a very good question. The interaction between warfarin and cranberries is a little bit controversial. At this point, the data pretty much says unless you were drinking 2 liters of cranberry juice a day, you don't need to worry about it. So small amounts, if you have a glass or 2 of cranberry juice a day, will not significantly impact the INR. If you're drinking large amounts, then you may want to avoid drinking large amounts.
That's a problem because that is disputed.
It is.
I read packaging that said in boldface, 2 things to avoid: alcohol and cranberry juice. And I said, what? I went online and it said cranberry juice raises your INR and people can have bleed out. So I was going to mention that. That was a big shock to me because if you're a woman and you have a UTI, the nurse will say, oh, have some cranberry juice. But after reading that, that's something that I want to avoid completely, is I would avoid alcohol as well.
Okay, so I'll just repeat the comment. The comment is that it is controversial. Some packaging and things that you receive will say to avoid cranberries. Again, and maybe you can highlight how you educate your patients. But the data that I've seen indicates, again, it has to be very large amounts of cranberry juice. So
I would just
don't know if you're the
concur
same.
then,
Okay.
Kate, that's the most recent. For a long time, we, including Kate and I and all of our staff here at the Anti-Carway Clinic, that was the information we were provided, and that we dug down a little deeper. I think Dr. Ansel was one of those leading investigators there to dig a little deeper, and really we learned that the whole story about the supposed interaction between cranberry juice and the action of warfarin was truly based on a couple published case reports, meaning the experiences of one or two small numbers of people. And when it was investigated, there probably were some other things going on with those people that might have explained why the INR crept up. But I think the message here is the most recent and the best evidence that we have available to us now is that a glass or two of cranberry juice a day is perfectly fine. Where we're worried is when you're drinking a couple gallons of it. I mean, a lot.
Liters.
Okay? And the comment, just so that I can maybe make it very clear about alcohol, we're not saying that you have to avoid alcohol. I think it was explained and it's been mentioned that alcohol can be concerning because it can increase the risk for bleeding. And I would encourage that you have these important but sometimes private conversations with your healthcare provider and talk specifically for you in your situation, does drinking alcohol pose an increased risk for me? One more question for Dr. Cabral.
I have a question. Kate. Yeah. I have a very good friend of mine, and she would love to eat leafy green vegetables, but her blood counts are all over the place. Is it okay for her to try a little?
In my opinion, I would say yes. But I think when she tries to initiate in consuming some green leafy vegetables, she should be clear with that, have that conversation with whoever is managing her warfarin therapy so that they can be sure to maybe, take an INR test a little bit sooner to see how that's impacting her blood levels.
Only because you said that it might stabilize her blood count?
There is some data suggesting that a continuous, sort of constant low level of vitamin K can help stabilize.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question. How important is it to take your warfarin? Let me put it that way. Is it prior to your dinner or after your dinner? To take your.
Repeat the question.
So the question is, do you have to take warfarin with food, or does the time of day matter? And the time of day does not matter. The important thing is that you take it the same time every day. You do not have to take it with food. One of the advantages in taking it in the evening is that typically, you go during the day for your INR draw, you get your results during the day, and then if you have to change the dose, you still have room that evening to take the new dose or the altered dose. So that is one of the advantages of taking it in the evening. But theoretically, if you just cannot remember to take it in the evening, you can only remember to take it in the morning as soon as you get up, I would say that probably outweighs the issue of taking it at night, because the important thing is to take it the same time every day.
Okay, well, please join me in thanking Dr. Cabral very, very much today. It was a great helpful lecture, I'm sure.